Great to
Is
have you
that good?
here, Sharon. It's an
Thank
honor
you.
to share this interview
Thank.
with you.
Mhm.
Thank you for everything that you did this weekend.
Thanks. I appreciate.
Could you please tell us, as a long distance runner and New York City Marathon winner, how is this kind of shoe, which is not typically fast, impacting the overall fitness and the injury prevention for amateur runners, of course?
I think as you can see, I feel like you see it has like enough support. I feel like the most important thing is support when you're running, because then you're trying to have like stability on your runs, and just having a shoe that has enough support for your runs, and you're not feeling like your foot is all over the place. So I just like the infinite elites, because then I think it gives you that support that you need. I also think it's light, because sometimes like if you're running as much mileage as a long distance runner, you need something that's like towards the end of your run, it's still giving you that energy return, and that support that you need to finish strong. And yeah, I just also like, because they have like this foam which is very, I feel like it's very nice. It gives you the feel. I mean, if you've ran, you guys, all of you have tried it this week, and you can just feel how nice it is in your foot and all that stuff. So I really like that. It just like, even after a very long day of running, or I can still go to it for my second run, or after a very long running of long, like going longer for my long runs, I still feel like it's still giving me that much needed support.
What's
So
the secret for such a shoe to allow you a better recovery or less demanding than your on your feet? It's by absorbing the shock from the impact of the hard surface.
yeah, because when you like, every time you hit the ground, it's like that's like a shock to your foot. So just having it help with that, like reducing that impact, would help with like your recovery, because then you're not feeling like, sometimes you've gone for, like, sometimes people go for runs and then they come back and they're like, oh, my knees, or like, oh, my feet, they feel like this and like this. And sometimes it's like the shoe is a big part of that. So having something that still, like, it's still light, but you're still getting that support from the harm of, like, or like the impact from the ground, is very important. So I know it's light, and it's also like it's a good form, but it also has like enough like firmness that's good for you to still get that support. So or like still feel like, you're not getting, like, the impact from the ground is not affecting you as much, and you can still go for the next run tomorrow and feeling very fresh. So yeah.
Could you explain a little bit this thing that people, when you say cushioning shoes, they never expect speed. But
Yeah.
they say it's intensively, extremely responsive. How is this combining shock absorbance and speed workouts?
I feel like, when you're most of the time is like having something, like when you're running fast, you just want something that gets off the ground quick, and just having, like, you can tell, like, you're having like the top where it's just like it lands, it brings you up quicker, like the pull that gives you. And when you land, you're not landing and it's not losing, it still has that like soft landing and firmness that you need to pop up again, for you to pick up your next step, or your next stride. So I think it's just like, it's hard to like explain sometimes, but like when you put it on, you can almost tell, when you're running, you can almost tell like that pop that you get. So
How much of a difference does a good running shoe makes in your finishing result in a marathon? In terms of minutes or percentage, how many minutes do you think you can gain in your end result?
I don't know, I feel like a minute or two, that's a lot. A minute in marathon running, that's a lot. Yeah. So I think, and it just doesn't have to like, it doesn't happen like the last 1 kilometer or something. It happens towards like the last maybe 10 kilometers, because you can run until like 30 kilometers and then don't have anything left there. So that's where you depend, or like until like 38 or 40, that's where you depend on the shoe or like something that you're wearing to help you get you to the finish line. So yeah.
How did you feel? So you started with school
Mhm.
results
Yeah.
in running,
Yeah.
and a few years later,
Mhm.
all the cameras in the world are following you at the 2022 New York City Marathon.
Yeah.
What it felt for the kid inside you to be there and understand that the whole world is looking up to you while you were crushing it, and we were crying at the TV station.
I was actually, I was in so much pain at that time. I mean, it is exciting, but it's also very painful because you have to fight all the way through the end, right? You'd think like you're in the front, but being at the front is painful because then you're being careful. It's like, oh, is someone coming for me, or so you have to give all that you have. And I just love that people can just see how much you have to fight through to get to the finish line sometimes, and how hard it can be. I mean, it feels good once you cross the finish line, but before that there's a lot that goes in your mind. There's a lot, like you're thinking, you're like, oh my god, will I be able to get to the finish line, or will I be able to keep running in this speed? So just like figuring out and just being in a position where you're like, I can do this, please, so it's usually it's good to like cross the finish line and still have that. And sometimes it's like, but before you get there, you're just like, oh god, give me more energy, just get me to the finish line and I'll be so grateful. You just keep talking, you just keep telling yourself all these things in mind. But I just think that it gives you confidence and more energy, just knowing that, oh, someone is watching me at home and I have family at home, or like people are watching me all over the world, so I have to give my best. So yeah.
If you could give advices to people who are beginners in the world of running, or
Yeah.
looking to take on running now, start now, what would be your 3 advices to them?
One, I would say, don't limit yourself. There's so much out there. Just start slow. Just start by trusting yourself, because then at the end, like we are all, we're so much capable of more, and that would not happen if you don't go out there and try. At least try your best and want to get it. And I'll also say that just be you. Just go out there and always have fun. Always try to enjoy the little things, and don't put too much pressure on yourself, because sometimes things happen and they happen for a good reason, and sometimes it might not be what you want. But at the end of it, if you keep fighting and keep working hard, it gets better. And once you reap the fruit of what you sow, it usually is like, you're like, oh, I should have done this. And there's always like give yourself a chance. Give yourself a chance, because you don't know how something feels until you try. So try it and just put yourself out there. And then I would say, just just, I don't know, just trust in people, let people help you, because sometimes you can't do things by yourself. So there's so much the support that is around us, and there's so much love to share. So just make sure if you have something shared with someone, or if you need something, just join them and be with them. So yeah, there's always something for everyone. So yeah.
You said something very interesting in the launch event. You said the marathon shows your inner self, which you
Yeah.
don't basically get to see every day. It
Yeah.
shows the inner sentiments, the inner feelings, the true person that you are.
Yeah.
Could you please describe a little bit this parallel between discovering yourself during the marathon and the real you?
I feel like most of the time you don't really know what pain is or like how things feel like until you try it. And for me, I didn't know like when I got into marathon running, I didn't know just how much pain, like how much there is to like discover about yourself. Sometimes you get to do things and you're like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. You know what? I didn't know I could run that much. And there's just so much to learn about yourself when you put like you give yourself more challenges. And I think marathon is very challenging. You can be very fit and feel so good today, but tomorrow you feel like you can't even move or you can't even do anything. And there's just so much patience in it too. It just teaches you to be very patient. Um, and it's like it just has so much that you can learn from in even in life itself. And so just giving yourself, being nice to yourself sometimes, because you cannot be feeling 100% every day, or you cannot have what you want every day. So I feel like it's just taught me how to just appreciate the little things I have and the time that I have, and just be present. And and sometimes you can be, after winning New York, I was like, oh my god, I hope this continues, but then I got injured right after. And that can do so much for your mind. But just finding the right balance and knowing that I have to like this happens, and I have to always just like slow down and enjoy the moment and just work on this, because sometimes things happen for a reason. And I think that is usually just reminding yourself that you can get up once you fall, and there's always something to fight for every day. So yeah.
I have one final question. We keep seeing the finishing times drop both in men and women in marathon. How much more do you think it can drop? Do you think it can get under the 2-hour official time, of course? And for women, I think it now stands at 2 hours and 11 minutes.
Yeah, I think with like the technology and everything that's going on around the world, I think it'll keep getting better and better. And we just have to realize that you can't compare yourself with someone. You just go with your own pace, and people would be ready at that time, and your time would come, and you'll be ready then. But now, don't just not being too excited about like wanting to be just like everybody else. Just be. I mean, it's amazing just to see all those results come in. But I usually just say that, there's always time for everything.
Do you expect Kelvin Kiptum to go under 2 hours, or do you admire Kipchoge more because they are both your compatriots?
I think so, but I do train with Kevin Kiptum. He's in Kenya right now, so Kipchoge is not that far from us too. So I think they're both like really good people, and I know they're both very hardworking, and so I don't know what the outcome will, but I just wish all of them the best, because at the end of the day, they're all teammates and they're all Kenyans, and they all want the best for themselves and for the country. So
I know I said one point, but this is really final question. What's the secret of the Kenyan runners?
I'd say discipline, hard work. If you've been to Kenya, you can just see how humbling it is and how everybody wants to be best. So I would just say just work hard as much as possible, and just be yourself, and enjoy life because there's so much in it.
So much. My final question.
Yeah.
People get to be alone while they're running, and in a world that's so busy, and we're always assaulted with messages and attention span and everything. Is running good for mental health, to find your inner self and fight depression maybe?
Yeah, I think so, because every time, I don't know, for me, every time I go out for a run, I come back and feeling so refreshed. I feel like, or like every time I start to feel like, oh, I'm getting overwhelmed, I just go out for a run, and it's like you're out there with your own thoughts. Like there's nothing else around you. You're just out there with your own thoughts, and sometimes you can be it can be very like good to just go out and pay attention to what's going on and not worry too much about like, oh, what's happening here, or like just try and calm down and just be present and enjoy the moment, and then you go back home and you feel amazing. So it's a way of like healing, I would say. So just go out, even if it's for 5 minutes. It does make a big difference. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. I think our time is up.